When it comes to driving, safety has to be our top priority. Sure, efficiency and convenience also count, but that should never be at the expense of human lives. With that in mind, let's discuss some key topics and vocabulary related to transportation and traffic safety. The first word I want to mention today is commute. That basically means traveling to and from work. This is a pretty universal concept since commuting is a part of almost everyone's life. Most of us have to spend a significant portion of our lives getting from point A to point B. Yes, the luckiest among us have the option to work from home. However, some have to spend hours stuck in traffic. Occasionally, there are traffic jams and bad weather, and that just makes the situation worse. And of course, there's rush hour during the busiest times of the day when everyone just wants to get where they're going as soon as possible. On days when the traffic is light, commuting can feel almost pleasant, or at least tolerable. The thing is, sometimes there are accidents, and you get long lines of cars, typically known as traffic jams. Naturally, people get stressed, and even start honking their horns at each other. And let's not forget road rage. Have you ever heard of road rage? It's a significant problem all over the world, but it's especially common in the United States, where people tend to value their cars and their personal space and rights very highly. It's not uncommon for people to get so stressed out that they become angry and aggressive or even violent. That leads to displays of antisocial behavior, commonly known as road rage. Unfortunately, it's a big problem that has yet to be solved. There's also the ever-present problem of bad maintenance. On a typical day, busy streets might get thousands of cars, and freeways might get hundreds of thousands, or even more. That's why the pavement needs to be well maintained, or else things like potholes or irregular or slippery surfaces can occur. This just ends up causing more traffic congestion and more headaches for drivers. So how do we deal with all these problems? The simple answer is through regulation. Ensuring traffic safety means regulating the flow of traffic effectively. In other words, we need traffic laws. The most obvious part of traffic laws has got to be traffic lights. They are so ubiquitous that red light, green light has been a popular kids game in the United States for decades. A red light indicates that the driver must stop, and a green light means the driver can keep going ahead. The yellow light is a bit more ambiguous, giving the driver a warning, making it clear that the light is going to turn red soon. Then it's up to the driver to determine whether they have enough space to stop or they can safely get through the intersection in time. Anyone who understands human nature can probably guess that a lot of people take the yellow light as a challenge. Instead of slowing down safely, they step on the gas pedal and speed up, seeing the intersection more as a finish line than as a public space. And that's just one example of the kind of irresponsibility normally seen on city streets. The most common traffic violation is speeding. That is, driving faster than the speed limit. For instance, young drivers often get excited about the freedom that automobiles can bring, and feel the urge to put the pedal to the metal. Or maybe someone is running late for work and decides to go just a little too fast. Some might justify speeding with the popular phrase, "life is short." Of course, there is a reason why speeding is illegal. The faster your car is going, the less time you have to react if something happens, and before you know it, you might lose control of your car, putting other people in danger. It also leads drivers to commit another common but serious infraction, running red lights and stop signs. As mentioned previously, red lights and stop signs tell drivers that they have to stop. A driver who is going too fast might have a hard time stopping at a red light and even hit someone, or might need to stop suddenly while the driver behind them might not have enough time to stop safely. That's commonly known as getting rear-ended. Another violation it can lead to is unsafe lane changes. Ideally, when a person decides to change lanes, they use their turn indicator, commonly called a blinker, and check behind them to make sure there is enough space to change lanes safely. When a person is speeding, they might feel the urge to drive like in the movies, or might not have enough time to signal or check their blind spot, causing them to misjudge how much space they really have, cutting off other drivers in the process. In fact, keeping enough space between your vehicle and the others around you is vital. Sometimes people get too close and put themselves and others at risk of accidents if something unexpected happens. And speaking of the unexpected, too many drivers get confident and allow themselves to get distracted, often by their phones or radios. I don't think I need to explain why that's a hazard. What drivers need to understand is that other people need space. There's even a word for the act of giving other vehicles the space they need. It's called yielding. And all too many drivers fail to yield to other drivers, or even, incredibly, at railroad crossings when trains are coming. Obviously, traffic accidents happen, and when they do, the police need to step in and get involved. Traffic cops, police officers who monitor traffic, stop irresponsible drivers and often give them tickets or fines for infractions. Those can be expensive, so it's a good idea to follow the rules. Oh, and by the way, if you ever hear a siren, pay attention to figure out whether you need to pull over or get out of the way. Anyway, let's talk about traffic signs. Those are much more mundane than the glamorous traffic lights, but they are fundamental to keeping traffic in order. Some signs are clear and obvious, like the well-known stop sign, for instance. It's a universal sign that the driver must stop before proceeding through the intersection. Other signs serve more as a warning, a heads up that something needs the driver's attention. There are signs that inform drivers of speed bumps, or lower speed limits, or sudden curves in the road, and other significant hazards or obstacles. Wise drivers pay attention and change their speed or route accordingly. Some signs tell us that we have a decision to make. For instance, the somewhat controversial yield sign. It means that a driver must pay attention to the intersection ahead, and if there's traffic, then they must let the other drivers go first. If there is no traffic, then they can go through the intersection without slowing down. It's more of a guideline than a strict rule, allowing drivers to use their judgment. Unfortunately, not all drivers are up to the task and fail to recognize when other drivers have precedence, what is often called the right-of-way. Speaking of right-of-way, disrespecting crosswalks and pedestrians is another common traffic violation, sadly. Walking to your destination has many benefits, including exercise and less pollution, but it can also mean danger from irresponsible drivers. Sharing the streets with drivers should be a smooth ride, not a crisis. All in all, driving safely is good for everybody. It's in everyone's best interest to understand and follow traffic laws, and most of all, to put yourself in the other person's shoes. When you think about other people, then it's easy to see why we have laws and follow them. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more English content to practice your speech comprehension skills and increase your vocabulary.